Hello, lovelies. I hope you guys are doing well and having a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you when you're watching this. Um, so I just wanted to come in here for a little bit and talk to you because I've been having some really interesting conversations around imposter syndrome and being an expert and all that sort of stuff, right? So I want to know, what energy are you sitting in right now? The expert or the imposter, right? And I ask that because um, often when we hear like the imposter and the expert, we think that they are two different people, right? Like one actually knows their shit and the other is just like faking it. But often what I'm finding in the conversations with people and even in myself, right, is it's the same person. It's the same person. And the people who are coming to them see them as the expert, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, you have all this wisdom, knowledge, know how, skill, whatever. Um, like help me, right? And on the other side of that is the person being asked, and they're like, I'm not an expert. Like, I don't know all of this. Like, I just know what's helped me. Or, maybe a couple ways I've helped other people, but it's not like I'm not expert, right? And one of the things that has been introduced to me recently is the concept of there's no such thing as imposter syndrome, but what you have is pioneer syndrome. And it was explained beautifully. And basically, it's just you don't know what you're doing and you don't have that confidence in what you're doing because you've never done it before and you haven't been around people who have done it before. Like you've not seen it in your known and trusted circle, right? So you don't really know. You're not fully confident in that. And I wish I could remember the woman's name. I tried to look it up before I came on and still couldn't find it. But she does family constellations. Um, but anyway, and that was one powerful thing on its own, right? And then recently I was in taking part in a challenge that Lisa Johnson was doing, and she was defining expert, and the way she chose to define expert has probably been the only way that like expert has actually finally like hit home and like made me realize quite a few things actually, right? Um, so when she was explaining expert, she was explaining it is if you are the person who knows the most about a subject in an average room. And now here's what happened when I first heard that, right? Was like, but I'm not. Like the rooms that I'm in, like beginner to intermediate, like I don't know the most in the rooms that I'm in. And then like as it sat and marinated, I realized like I don't put myself in average rooms. Like I consciously, intentionally, because I love learning and growing, I am consistently putting myself in places where there are people who know more than I do. There are people who are better at things than I am, right? And that's why I'm there, because I'm trying to learn. But what that does is that skews our perspective on ourselves, right? Because I've been on an intentional growth and self connection and healing journey for since probably, I would say, very intentional in 2017, slightly intentional in 2015, and the start of like this whole process probably started in 2010. So, what's been happening is I've been learning and growing and putting myself more and more in spaces to learn and grow. So, even on the level where it wasn't a conscious and fully effortful thing, it was just like, oh, this sounds fun. Let's go learn about this, right? That's been happening for over a decade now for me. So, I've been consistently putting myself in spaces where I'm definitely not the expert because I'm looking to learn, right? So I'm not, I never really realized I wasn't putting myself in average rooms, like, you know, for a decade now. Like that's just not where I'm moving, and it's probably not where you're moving either, right? Because we get on this journey and we forget like there are a lot of people out there that are that haven't started this journey, that don't want to start this journey, honestly. Um, but and even more people that when they try to start, like they're still not ready to do the work. So statistically speaking, like we are not average. Okay, we're not. And it's not a judgment on anybody. It's just statistics will show like we are in the minority. Okay, and with that though, because we're normally surrounding ourselves with other healers, with other um, entrepreneurs, with other, you name it, because we're trying to grow, we're constantly putting ourselves in a position where we are not the, we're not like the smartest in the room. We're not the most knowledgeable person sitting at this table. And we're doing it because we're trying to become more knowledgeable, right? But what we forget though is that then if we go to an average room, like, yeah, you are the expert. Like, people generally don't know the same amount of stuff that you know about what you're doing. Okay. And when I realized that, like, that was just mind blowing because initially, like I said, when I first heard it, like, my first thought was like, oh, but like, even in the rooms that I'm in, I'm not the expert. I'm not the smartest in the room. Like, there are people who know more, have been doing it longer, who do it better, all that stuff, right? And then I had this moment of like, holy shit, why don't put myself in average rooms? Like, let's take this back a minute. Like, what does an average room look like, especially when it comes to your area of expertise, or if expertise still makes you cringe, your area of exploration, or that you've been playing in or learning and growing in. Like, what is the average room? What's their knowledge of that topic? For some of us, like, people have heard of it and it ends there. Right? Whereas you've been actively practicing it for however long you've been practicing it versus someone who's just heard of it. So I just wanted to come in and share that because it's been shifting perspective for me, and it's also just been like just mind opening. I was like, oh. So I just wanted to share that, and hopefully that helps some of you. But definitely, take a listen, and then in the comments, let me know like which energy are you sitting more in right now. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.